Welcome to the Balance Code podcast, a place where you have permission to step outside the hamster wheel of day-to-day life and learn tools to create more balance. My name is Katie Ressler. I'm a licensed therapist and burnout and hidden grief specialist. I support ambitious, goal-driven people who are ready to get off the one-way train to burnout and start to enjoy life again to the fullest. Oh, and by the way, I'm a mom of 3, an expat living in Germany who is still learning the language, and an entrepreneur. Living my balance code is what keeps me able to work in incredible ways without burning out. So let's find your balance code. Hey everyone, today I'm going to share with you guys some personal stories of what I'm facing around the subject of imposter syndrome. Why? Because every time I write on social media about imposter syndrome, there is a plethora of responses of all of you going through this experience as well. So, imposter syndrome. What is it all about? Well, imposter syndrome is when we don't feel like we're adequate enough. We don't have enough information. We're not capable enough. Basically, we're beginners, and that's normal, but we believe we should already be more advanced than we are. And we don't have imposter syndrome when we're born. We develop it. We learn it. Because think about it. You didn't have imposter syndrome about learning how to walk. You didn't have imposter syndrome about learning how to talk. It was when you started to experience being ashamed and embarrassed that you started to notice, ooh, it doesn't feel good when I don't feel like I'm enough. I'm adequate. I'm on the same level as other people. So I start to feel embarrassed and ashamed, and maybe I get made fun of because I'm young and somebody makes a joke, and then I start to feel imposter syndrome. As we get older, of course, in the workplace and in our lives and different identities and roles we take on, we start to feel this imposter syndrome hit pretty heavy. And as we get older, of course, we have more tools to avoid it, right? We have some things that we do to numb out and forget it and avoid dealing with it, procrastinating, putting it off, all of those things. And the reality is, imposter syndrome is a very normal process and experience as we go to our next level, right? The new identity, the new role, the new job, the new experience. It's normal. But what has happened is our brain has wrapped it up in, I'm not enough. There's something wrong with me. I'm not capable. I'm not worthy. And we beat ourselves up over it. And that's the point where imposter syndrome starts to block us from really feeling good and excited and curious about this next chapter in our lives. Here's my personal story of imposter syndrome that I'm going through right now. Many of you know that I'll be speaking at the 15 Seconds Festival, which is a conference in Graz, Austria. That is a future forward-thinking conference. So there's going to be topics on tech, marketing, sustainability, diversity, health and sport, personal growth. It's going to be an amazing event, and they're projecting over 10,000 people attending. Well, back in the spring, I found out that I was chosen to be one of the keynote speakers, and I was so excited. If you listened to last week's episode, then you know I'm all about celebrating. So I made sure that I celebrated as soon as I found out. But it wasn't too soon after celebrating that I felt the imposter syndrome kick in. Part of the problem was I had pitched to them talking about hidden grief, right? That's my specialty. And they asked, would I be willing to talk about burnout? Yes, I can talk about burnout. And as a high achiever, gold star earner, I can do it all. I'm the yes woman. I said yes. And jumped in and then went, oh crap, I don't even have a workshop on this. I don't have anything other than the work I do with my clients one-on-one and my own experiences to pull from. Well, that's where everybody begins when they're going to start something new and a new talk and teaching people a new subject is you start from what you know, and then you start to educate yourself more, right? But in that moment, I felt like fraud and I felt like a total imposter. Well, I pushed through that because that's what you do in imposter syndrome, right? You either allow it to freeze you and you just don't feel like you can do anything and you completely avoid it, or you fight through and you go, I can do this, and you prove it to yourself that you can. Most of us here are in the latter. We're going to prove to ourselves we can do it. So I did. I began doing some reading and thinking about the clients that I was working with over the last year and realized, wow, they were all in burnout. Hey, Katie, this topic is timely. You've just recently gone through your own burnout in which you guys are making shifts in your family to help lead you to not join back into the burnout club anytime soon. I can talk about burnout all day long now. All I needed was that moment of realization that it is a topic that I can be an authority on. But here's the kicker. So I was all excited, and then I went to the speakers list to see who else would be speaking at this event. And then bam, I was hit with imposter syndrome again. And I'm still in it, if I'm honest. The speaker list at that time, it's grown even more, involved companies like Netflix, WhatsApp, Lenovo, YouTube, Google, Siemens, Fidelity, TikTok, Tumblr, Asana, and TED. Like TED events, TED Talk. Yep, TED. I froze. I really did. And I immediately wanted to back out. I wanted to say, I'm just a mom. Like, I literally change poopy diapers every day. Yes, I have published 2 books. I have hosted workshops for large companies and have a podcast. I've worked with well over 500 clients, helping to improve their lives. I have a track record. I can say I can do these things. But in that moment, I felt like nothing. And literally the phrase that continues in my head even today, June 12th, days before my keynote talk, is I'm just a mom. How sad that that seems like a bad thing. How sad that that seems like it makes me less than. How sad that it makes me feel like I'm not adequate enough when moms are the one who are running so many things. Our ability to multitask, to handle challenging situations, to be adaptable and flexible, to plan, to organize. We have so many strengths, but for some reason, I looked at the list of large name companies and the list kept going and going. And I thought, I'm just a mom. So as I started working through that imposter syndrome and had some amazing close friends really kick me in the butt about it all and remind me who I am beyond just a mom, even though being a mom is one of my identities that I like to think I'm amazing at. I have so many other great characteristics and I get a seat at the table just like any other person at that event. Yes, I don't work for some of these large brand companies, but I'm an entrepreneur and I've created my own business in 2 different countries successfully. It has taken me a while to get to this point where I could say those things with confidence and just empowerment. One of the big turning moments for me, though, was I will also be hosting a panel at the event where we're going to be talking about how to have real connection in the digital world. Great topic, great event to have this topic at, right? I got to pick my dream panel. And of course, as normal with any conference, there were some speakers who were supposed to be lined up to come and then they had to cancel. And so we were playing back and forth to figure out who would actually be on the panel. And there was a point where I totally forgot who I'd even suggested. And then I got the confirmation of all 4 speakers. Well, I got the confirmation with just their names because they are human beings and it should be that way, right? And then I went back to that speaker page and I saw their job titles and where they work, and I felt imposter syndrome again. I have the privilege of interviewing 4 really amazing people, and it's not because of their job that they're amazing. It's about their authenticity and what they care about in the world. But in that moment, I didn't know them. So what I saw was Asana, YouTube, TED, again, TEDx, TED Talk, TED events, and a woman who is exactly where I hope to be in my career in the next 10 years. A fellow entrepreneur who'd built up her business and being able to help so many people. Ooh, that was a big lineup. And I immediately was like, how do I get out of this event again? What do I say? You know what? I'm a mom of 3, so I can just be like, it's just too much. I'm sorry, I can't. But again, high achiever. Nope, not going to do that. And I knew that the fear didn't warrant me backing out. The fear was about something new. Something I'd never tried before. Have you ever had the experience of jumping into really cold water? Like you put your toe in first and you're like, nope, that's too cold. I'm not doing it. But sometimes you get the courage to just jump in and your body is in shock for a moment. Like, oh my gosh, you just did that. And then you start swimming and moving and you feel great. You feel awesome that you did it. And almost this mental accomplishment for jumping in. I feel that way right now. Now I'm not even there. And there's already this feeling of I've jumped in, I'm all in. I can do this. And when I got to do like a pre-talk with the 4 panelists and really see that these are normal human beings, I felt so much more relaxed. And it helped me realize when I do my keynote, that's going to be a room full of normal human beings who aren't there to hear me talk, by the way. I like to think I'm important, but I'm not Beyonce. Nobody's waiting for my album to drop. They're coming to hear about the topic burnout culture, the dangers of being limitless. That's what they want to hear about. That's what they want to work on. That's the message they need. I'm just the messenger. That's a really cool role to have. Pressure is off. But in my mind, I was continuing to panic and feel like, oh my gosh, what if I am not enough? What if I can't talk about this? What if they ask me questions I can't answer? Well, who cares? If I can't answer it, I can say, hey, afterwards, let me give you my business card. You send me a message with that question. I'll get you the answer. Right? Easy. I don't have to have all the answers. Imposter syndrome is there to get in the way. It is there to create such a sense of fear and inadequacy that we don't do something that's uncomfortable. But I believe in getting comfortable with the uncomfortable. If you haven't listened to the other episodes of this podcast, you should go back and listen. They are really filled with how we can start to become more comfortable with the uncomfortable in good ways. But ultimately, what's been saving me through imposter syndrome is creating my unbucket list. Now, you know what a bucket list is, right? It's that list of things that you hope to accomplish or do or see or experience before you die. Well, I have an unbucket list and I use it with my clients as well. And I encourage you to create one too. The unbucket list looks at all the things you've already done, all the things you've accomplished, all the experiences and challenges you've already faced. And you literally have to write them all out. Now, don't worry, I have a workbook that I give to my clients and I use for myself that I'm going to make available to you. So you can look in the show notes and get it. But it guides you through 3 key focuses of events that have happened in your life and challenges you've faced and achievements you've had. It makes you look at your life in a different way. When I started creating my unbucket list, which I hadn't done in several years, I had things like junior member of a ballet company. I don't know if you know, but I did ballet for 11 years. I also was an accomplished flute player. I had won awards and was in our community orchestra. I have traveled for 6 weeks in Australia with a 7-month-old. I think that should really just be at the top of the list. And heck, that's about being a mom, and that's a strength. I have had near-death experience. I have lost my mother. I have a lot of challenges, accomplishments, and experiences in my life that I had forgotten about. I had totally put those to the side because they're normal. I had them. I've experienced them. Whatever, move on. No, they're what helped me feel so much more accomplished that I get to sit at the table with anyone. And they also help me remember that I am human and so are other people. Other people have their own bucket list too. And they also face their own insecurities and experience imposter syndrome. Talking with the panelists and hearing how nervous they were about their talks, I was like, I am amongst real people. It made me feel so much more confident to know I wasn't alone, that this is just, again, a normal, natural part of the process of stepping up in the spotlight and doing something uncomfortable. Go in the show notes, get your own bucket list, start filling out the workbook, and I bet you're going to see as well, wow, I'm pretty amazing. So this week is going to be quite pivotal for me as I fly out to Austria on my own and experience being a keynote speaker, a workshop leader, and a panel host at an event that is incredible. And I'm really proud to say I get to be a part of it. I get a seat at that table, and so do you. Whatever it is that you feel like you're not enough, you get a seat at that table. It isn't even about earning it. It's just because you are amazing how you are. That's the piece I've had to remind myself over and over and over. That I'm more than just a mom, that I have so many qualities and characteristics and identities about myself, that I am more than just one component of any of it. I am all of it together. So take some time to reflect on today's episode. Maybe you need to go listen to it again, pull out some of those parts that you needed reminders on, and here's to finding our balance code. Thank you so much for listening to today's episode. If you have a moment, please leave a rating or a review so that others can find this podcast who are looking for support just like you. Let's connect on Instagram at katie.russler or at Balance Code Podcast, or check down in the show notes to find ways that we can work together and see other offerings that I have for you at this time. And as always, here's to finding our balance code.